One of the hardest things for an athlete to do after a great success is back it up with another great success. And that's exactly what we're examining today. After the success of the Adidas Anthony Edwards 1, I bring you the AE2. And can this one live up to the hype that the AE1 gave us? Will this so-called sneaker of the year from 2024 outlast its incumbent shoe from 2025 and take Minnesota Timberwolves superstar Anthony Edwards to an even higher level than he already is? Not only in terms of performance, but lifestyle and wearability off the court. These are all the questions that we're going to be answering today. So take a seat, grab a drink. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Best Foot Forward Shoes. My name is Harrison Cable. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I'm going to get into answering some of the questions that I myself had about this shoe, which was mainly sizing, comfort, and how is it different from the AE1. So let's start off with the first shoe. Obviously, you kind of already know this by now. You've got the high top and the low top version of the AE1. Both of them have these outer TPU shell done in this very nice honeycomb shape with an external lacing system on a very thick canvas outer. The Adidas logo embossed on a very hard plastic faux carbon plate heel tab on the back, the herringbone traction pattern on the bottom, the plastic toe cap around the front, and the Adidas Light Boost foamer on the back, running all the way along the shoe with this half circular carbon plate providing a fair amount of rigidity. And these were marked by people saying, and myself experiencing, a pretty tight fit when it came to the lifestyle aspect, like wearing them just for normal everyday wear. On the court, you obviously want a little bit of a tighter, snug fit. You want to feel the court. You want to have that feel that the shoe is locked onto your foot to make those quick cuts and jumping movements. But some of the downsides were that the TPU cage around the side was a little bit heavy, and obviously the low top is addressing that heaviness by having less material. So the high top kind of faded away a little bit, I felt like, at the end of last year, and the low top was kind of the shoe that a lot of people were wearing, not only on the court, but also for lifestyle. Anthony Edwards himself, some of the best colorways ended up being on the low version. And so it kind of felt like the high top just kind of went away. And to be honest, I've actually worn this low top AE1 a fair amount off the court. As you can see, it's actually pretty dirty on the sole. And I find it very, very comfortable. It's got nice room around the toe box. And so overall, I can see why so many people loved this shoe last year. However, then the question arose around the AE2. When was it coming out? What was it going to look like? People drawing comparisons even to the Air Jordan 1 and the follow-up of the Air Jordan 2, which was a fair amount of disappointment, not only from a looks perspective, but from a build quality and performance perspective. And so some people were worried that the second version of this shoe was going to be a letdown, considering how hyped the first version was. We first saw this leaked image, this heavily vignetted sneak peek, as well as a couple, from what we know now, a sample image of a different colorway. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we just see Anthony Edwards wearing this shoe on a tour in China. And then we see videos and unboxings from, your favorite sneaker YouTubers, as well as people getting early in-store pairs to review and unbox to try and build the hype. And I think they did a pretty good job of building hype for them, but it really doesn't feel like this has hit as hard as the AE1. I will get into some of the main differences, but the first thing that I want to talk about is the sizing and the comfort. That was my biggest concern coming into this one, and I did go with the same size that I got in the AE1 low. I got a size 9 US, a 42.5. That's pretty much what I get in all New Balance, Asics, and Nike runner models. I always feel very comfortable getting a true to size 9. And in this model, I went for the same, and to be honest, it is a little bit snug. Like if I was going to be wearing these for lifestyle wear, initially out of the box, they're not very comfortable. There's a fair amount of squish and tightness around the toe box. And of course, if you want to be wearing these on the court, you do want that tight, close-knit feel. But just for lifestyle use, it is a little bit snug. If you're not going to be wearing these on the court, I would probably recommend going a half size up, even maybe a full size up if you have wide feet. But also another tip is that these are pretty readily available in most stores, not only Adidas stores, Foot Locker, and other basketball retailers have these in store. So you can go into a store and try these out for yourself. And with what I assume a ton of different colorways still coming, if you're wanting to pick up some other colorways, I would definitely try and get the sizing right on this one before there's any colorways that you're really keen on. Again, for lifestyle use, I would probably go up half a size, if not a full size. But for on the court, I'm happy with the true to size. So take that as you will. But for me, that's how I feel about the sizing on them. From the jump, there are some pretty large differences on the shoe. As you can see, the traction pattern on the bottom is different. You do have a herringbone style with this rubber, but there is more of a visible carbon fiber plate on the AE2. And there's kind of these ridges that go up and down on the AE1 that are not present on the AE2. You can also see this exposed foam on the bottom of the AE2. This piece does provide a little bit more rigidity. You can see when I try and twist it, kind of like it's a little bit hard. I can't really twist it much at all, which is good for on-court use, of course. Comparing that to the AE1, I can twist these a lot more. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but I can definitely twist these more than I can the sole of the AE2. There's also some other ridges around the side, on the inside and the outside of the shoe. Whether or not those are performance based, I'm not sure, but they do look very cool. Like aesthetically, this shoe is a very, very good looking shoe. Moving on to the outer of the shoe, there is a little bit of difference as well. The biggest one, of course, is that they've removed the TPU cage on the shoe and they've put on this synthetic mesh in a kind of Georgia peach colorway because Anthony Edwards is from Georgia, and this is almost like his signature color at this point. This sort of half hot pink, off-white, peachy color mixed in with this almost orangey, yellowy kind of plastic which goes around the entirety of the shoe. This outer is not very breathable, but however, I think that it is a little bit more breathable than the AU1. Of course, TPU plastic is not breathable at all, so removing a lot of that reduces some of the sweating that would happen inside of your shoe and also provide a little bit more flexibility around the upper. As you can kind of see, I can squish this upper a little bit more than I could with the AU1 because, of course, plastic is a little bit less pliable than just a synthetic mesh. I said before with the AU1 that there is a very hard plastic backing on there where the Adidas logo is, and they've kind of removed that hard outer shell, almost like a kneecap, and they've moved it to the either side of the shoe. So you've got the carbon fiber on either side, left and right, which kind of allows for a little bit more padding, I feel, around the back heel tab. On this one, there is still a fair amount of padding, but however, it's more in a cup shape. And this one's definitely a bit more in the V shape. And I feel that the AE2 really lets your foot sink in a little bit more. Another big difference is the tongue. This tongue and ankle opening on the AE2 is definitely a lot wider than it was on the AE1. The tongue is still very comfortable on the AE1, however, don't get me wrong. It just feels very different, and the AE2 has a much more comfortable and padded and cushioned tongue. The lacing system is also different. So on the AE2, there is an internal lacing system. Basically, the outer of the shoe still wraps around the laces. Whether or not this is an aesthetic thing or a function thing, I'm yet to find out. I feel like it's more of an aesthetic thing because the AE1 didn't really have any lacing issues, even though it has an external lacing system, and the tongue freely moves around on the inside. One of the biggest similarities that I'm going to say is the toe box. To me, they actually look almost identical with this almost U and V-shaped toe cap around the front, and they're pretty much made of the same kind of pliable plastic, and there's also a very similar sort of toe cap around the front here. So that's one big similarity between the two, and if you look at them side by side, you can really tell that Adidas is drawing off the same sort of design language. One other huge similarity is that the insoles are pretty much the exact same. I would hazard to say they use literally the exact same insole, just put different colors on it. And of course, those insoles are removable, so if you do play basketball and you have, orthotic issues, you can take these insoles out and replace them with your own insoles. I did feel that the AE2 was a fair bit lighter than the AE1. I could definitely feel there was a lot of difference just from initially putting them on. There was also a ton more squish on the AE2 as well, so I could feel my foot really sinking into the ground. A little bit more than the AE1, it has a little bit more of a harder feel, especially around the back heel tab, so they kind of did fix that and made that a little bit better. And overall, I feel that this shoe, the AE2, is a good but not great upgrade on the AE1. I think one thing that a lot of people are looking for these days is the visual aesthetic and wearing these shoes off the court. On the court, I'm sure they perform absolutely fine. There are probably nuanced details that someone with far more experience playing basketball could tell you, but just from a purely aesthetic point of view, I didn't really love this one as much as the AE1. I didn't hate it. Definitely after those leaked images, there were a lot of people already writing it off, but to be honest, I think it's okay, and I think with a better colorway, and a lot of people have actually said this, if they tooled the colors a little bit better, they would probably cop the shoe. So like I said before, if you are looking for a better colorway, which is coming, I would go into stores now and try and get the sizing on this shoe right so that you can snap up those cool colorways when they eventually do release. I don't think this is a failure at all. I think this is a very, very good model, and I'm excited to see what other colorways they bring us, and I'm excited to see Anthony Edwards go from strength to strength on the court wearing this shoe. I do love everything that Anthony Edwards does. He recently released like an awards show, which he posted on YouTube. I saw a clip of him doing the funniest white guy or the best white guy of the year, and he gave it to Timothée Chalamet, Knicks fan Timothée Chalamet, which was pretty funny. He also had like hater of the year, which I think went to Skip Bayless, which is crazy. So Anthony Edwards definitely is a guy with personality, and that definitely shines through within his shoes. So I think he's done a great job. Adidas has done a great job with it. To answer the overall question, I don't think it's as good as the AE1, unfortunately, but that's not to say it's bad. It's just not as good as the AE1. Take that what you will. Thank you again so much for watching, everybody. If you do want to hear me talk a little bit more about sports, a little bit more about sneakers, I do have a podcast on this channel. I do have a ton of guests which I've brought on. You probably know a couple of them, so you can check the link in the description down below and check out, or just go onto my channel and just check out the podcast link, because we've got a ton more chat about sneakers on this channel. And if you want to subscribe and join the journey, again, thank you so much for doing that. We're creeping up very close to 6,000 subscribers right now, so really do appreciate everybody who's jumped on the train and is watching these videos. So thank you so much, everybody. See you again next week for another review. Have a good day.